Well, I've got my friend Dave's power steering ram here, and it's off a Massey Ferguson 240, and it's leaking out the gland seal here. And he was telling me he hasn't got the stuff to seal it, to do it at home. So would I mind? And I said, oh, I'll bring it in. I might have a crack at it for you. So I've got my little offset turn-aroundy hobby handyman type vice here. It's a Renegade one, only $100, but I put soft jaws in it, and look, it's fine for this. So I've been up the back, and this nut here, this is just a gland nut. Now that nut was bloody tight. I had to get it up the back, get it on a big vice, and put a big set of Stilsons on here to get it off. So it sounds a bit rough, but that's the only way I could really think of to do it. So we take that off, and there you go. Now that's the whole cylinder. You have a nut at the end here. That's coming out of focus a bit. I'll bring it back here. You have a screw-on nut on the shaft, and it has two flats here, and it's been peened to hold it in place. And we have the gland sliding up and down here. That's where it's leaking, on the inner seal for there. And this here is the lock nut. So we'll get reset up again. We might put this in the vise this time. We shouldn't have to play with this too much. And we'll have a look at getting this undone and fitting it set up here. And we have the flats. And look, I'm just going to use a shifting spanner. I think it'll be good. The jaws on this shifting spanner are pretty good. So we'll see if we can get it. Oh, look at that. Easy. That's not a bad kill, that one. So you can see at the end there, it's just a matter of screwing that gland nut off. Looks like there's been a little Loctite on there. You can see a little bit of a white powdery look. If we pull this off, take note which way that goes. Now we have the flat side out. It won't be hard to tell you've got dirt on one side and nice clean hydraulic oil on the other. So we might get this over to the bench and we'll have a bit of a look at what we've got. Okay, we're over at the workbench here at the up in my little shipping container machine shop. So the kit we have to try and fit is a Sparex kit, and you can see I've had my oily hands all over it. But the part number is S42243 seal kit. So let's have a look. Let's see how good a kit this is, how it fits. And I can't remember ever fitting one of these kits, so we might all learn something together here. A few cars going past. It's afternoon. I've come home from work to do this, and there's a few cars going past, but that's alright, isn't it? So what do we have here? We have a large O-ring, one slightly smaller. Now that's the piston ring. They're buggers of things. You've got to get them hot sometimes to get them stretched over. That's a felt, and we have another O-ring here. So, oh, and hang on, Lance, there's something in the packet still. That's the seal that does all the work. He does all the hard stuff. So we'll have a look here, and we'll start at the end cap. Now, the end cap, you can see that's just a normal old bit of pressed steel, really. Pressed tin, steel. So it's got a felt in there. So if we come in behind here, look at that. That felt's coming apart there. Now, that's probably why this piece here is rusty. The felt has probably held a bit of moisture in or something like that. So I'll scratch this other piece of felt out if I can. Feels like it's quite stuck in with the rust. I'll get my new seals out of the way before I damage them. You zoomed in there pretty well. I might pull it out a bit just so I don't end up out of frame. I've got a little Fergie carby here, and look at all these bloody good backdrops. Bloody Wally. And okay, so around here, that needs a really good clean, and I'm not sure if I can get in there and show you real well with the light that we have here, but yeah, look, that needs a good scrub, no doubt about it. I might even take that up and I'll just bead blast in around here and give the thread a tidy up. That's probably not a bad thing to do. So we'll put that over there for the moment. We'll get this rubbish out of the way. Now the piston. The piston has they're like a semi-plastic sleeve. I don't actually know what they're made of. It's a plastic sort of stuff. A lot of rams have it. I don't know the proper terminology for that, but the piston has one of them on it, and sometimes they can be such a bastard to fit that sometimes if your piston here is good and the lining on your piston is good, it's not a stupid idea just to leave this run, because they can be a bugger. But look, we're going to do it. If we're going to do it up for me matey buddy, we're going to do it properly. So we'll get an O-ring pick and we'll pick that one out. I'll turn it around so I don't stab me finger. And there's an O-ring under there. So the O-ring, this is the new one, the O-ring sits underneath and it sort of holds tension out on the seal. So we'll take the O-ring out. This is just a cheap little O-ring pick I bought, O-ring pick set I bought, and it's a good thing. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So there's nothing more there apart from a clean up. Nothing more we really need to do. This is a simple little job. I like these little jobs. Okay. Now on the main gland, now we can see all the rust around there. So that's no good really, but the seal that's playing up, it's in here. And you can see it's wanting to come out in pieces. You can see it's just crumbling out inside there. All the bits and pieces. She's buggered all right. It's just crumbling apart. Each time I get a little piece on the O-ring pick, it just falls away. There we go, the big bit. So that looks like the whole outer ring of that. Little bits of O-ring everywhere, isn't there? Then on the outer here, this O-ring here, it seals this gland onto the outer tube of the cylinder. So, oh look, I didn't know that was separate. That's that one gone. So that needs a nice clean up. Okay, I didn't know that was separate really. Shows how many of these I've done. I've done a lot of cylinders, but can't say I've done a lot of these. So right, That's a good thing. Now we'll get all the parts. We'll get all the parts cleaned up. I think we might go run up the back and get the bead blaster that we clean the carburetors up with, and we might give a lot of these bits just a bit of a tidy up, so we know that there's not going to be any swarth or anything like that in there. Now, if you haven't got a bead blaster like I have up the back there, just get these as clean as you possibly can. Make sure there's no, on these surfaces where the seal sits, like this seal has to sit in there, make sure there's nothing in there that can bugger up the seal. Okay, that's it. I'll tidy this up, I'll clean my parts, and I'll come back and we'll have a bit of an assembly. Well, I've been up the back and I've cleaned everything up, and I've actually put the camera on the other side of the bench, so the light's behind the camera, so when we go to look at stuff, it's a bit better with the light. You're on the bright side, not the dark side. So we took all this up and washed it up, but down inside this cylinder, I'll probably try and explain how this works. You have your two fittings here that the oil comes in for left and right, say, or right and left. It doesn't matter which way. That doesn't help the story. But inside the cylinder, there's this inner tube. Now this inner tube, this is what the piston goes up and down in. And so inside here, this sits down into the housing. And between these two fittings, down in here, there's an O-ring. And this pushes down into the O-ring and it seals down something like that. Just down a little bit. Then this gland holder, it sits down the top there, and it sits just down inside the bore there, and this holds it in place. So how does it work? Well, the oil can come in this hole here, and when the oil comes in this hole here, it goes up here, pushes the piston that way, and the oil that's been on this side of the piston comes out this little groove here, that little track there, that's a oil port. And so the oil that's been trapped, we're pushing pressure in here, the oil that has been trapped in this side of the piston gets brought out through here. Then because there's an O-ring between these two ports, it comes out around this tube and comes out this fitting here. So just as a quick way of explaining how it all works. And so this, where this sits inside here, there's an O-ring, and there's an O-ring right between these two ports, way down in there, and I haven't got it out yet, but I was going to show you how I like to get it out, and we'll go from there. Now the and in the reverse, I suppose I could explain that when the oil comes in this port here, it goes up the outside of this tube in here, so it's between this tube, the outside of this and the inside of that. So it comes out there in that hole there, it pushes on the power steering ram piston, it moves that down, displacing any oil on this side of the piston and pushing it out here. So that's how it works in the one cylinder. But down inside here, and look, it's way the buggery down there. Now if I put an O-ring pick in there, you can just see the O-ring pick go in. So what I've done, or what I do, is that's just one of my little O-ring picks. Bring it in here and feel around for that O-ring groove and the O-ring. Now where are we? And then once you've felt the O-ring, you can dig, have a dig. I can't show you that. I don't think I can. Have a dig, and while it's out of the groove at the back there, so it's out on this side here, you get this other one, put him down in the hole, grab that O-ring and hook him out. So that's the O-ring out. So that O-ring, it sits on here. And so in our kit, that's this O-ring here. So see, at the moment it's loose, but when we poke it down the bore there and get it into place, that'll tighten up, it'll push in. So I'd like to do that. So and look, I just can't really, I can't look down there and show you down there too. So we'll poke this down with an O-ring pick, or if you haven't got a long O-ring pick, grab a welding rod, a good welding rod, and put a point on one end on the grinder, then heat it with the oxy and give yourself a hook 3/4 of an inch long or something like that. So what I'm doing here, I'm looking down the hole and I'm trying to get that started in the groove down the bottom there. And I might get a long screwdriver. I'm hitting on the base of this O-ring pick here. I might pan out just a little bit if I can. I seem to be running out of room all the time. So with a long screwdriver, I'll try and sit this down so one side goes in the groove and then get the other piece in there. So I'll have to start on one side of the groove. Okay, there we go. That's down the end there. Now if I've got that right, this should go down in and I should feel it engage down in there. And I'll try and push this down. No, it hasn't bitten in properly yet. I'll just check that O-ring's good. Yep, I'm really sure that O-ring's good. I'll just put a little bit of super duper red grease on here. See if that'll encourage it to go a little bit further. I'm just looking for what I got to sit in here and push it in properly, but I wonder, can I? Just do a bit of a dummy run here. What I'm looking at, you can see down in this port here, you can actually see the shoulder. So I'm looking to see that that shoulder's going deeper into the port, and it is. Okay, so now that shoulder that I could see before, there's a shoulder just level with, oh look, it's about 2 millimeters down that thread. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. Anyway, we'll pull all this out again. We'll pull this out again if we can. Here's this little hook. That's staying put, but this has come a little bit. There we go. So I suppose that's in now. Look, if I just use my trusty plastic ruler, look, it's in right home it's in around 1 centimetre. Now you can see inside there, there's not much room around that tube, but that's where the oil goes. So if we put air in here, it actually comes out around the edge here, not through the centre. Yet if we put air through the back end here, there's a little cutout way down there that you can see. So that's coming in the back port. So that's putting oil on in the centre here. This here, when you look down that port there, you can see the outside of that tube. So the oil goes in there, and it hasn't got a big gap there, but it certainly, obviously it's enough to do the job. Yeah, so there you go. So that's that little bit done. That's a bit of a tricky piece. That took quite a few minutes to do that, but that's all right. Okay. Now this seal retainer, or gland housing, I suppose you'd call it. All that we can do here is we have this seal here. Now this seal can go in one of two ways. If it goes in that way, it doesn't seal the oil, it seals the dirt in, out, but not in. So this actually has to go that way, so the lip towards the oil. And so if you remember, this sits on that way, that cylinder's the port to put oil in there, so this is the oil side, so the lip has to go towards the oil. We can just pop that in there. Just a beautiful fit, look at that. Then, if you remember correctly, I've bead blasted this, and you can see that it's a bit rough around there, but look, that just doesn't matter. And this side here, this went to the cylinder. Then when we put it together, that O-ring goes on there first, then this comes down over the top, and when this tightens down, it forces this O-ring out against the side of that wall there. So we'll start putting it together. So we put this here first, so that's our nut. Then there was a felt inside there. Now this felt is the dirt excluder. That's what stops the dirt getting into the cylinder. So this goes down in there, this goes down on there. Now look, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on there, maybe a little bit of oil on the felt, just to lubricate it a bit, help it slide and let it take the shape that it needs to take down in there. Okay, so that sits down there. This washer goes down. This O-ring goes in. This seal, this gland goes that way with the seal towards the washer like we took it out. And actually that there, I usually like to put a little bit of grease on them to get them started too. Just clean grease. That can go up over there. And we keep all that up in the gland nut there if we can. That looks like it will fit okay. Feels like it's catching on something. What's it catching on? Oh, look, that all looks good. Yep, that's okay. Now, the piston. Now with the piston, we got this bloody thing. These can be a pain in the bum. But anyway, let's get it on. So we have the O-ring there. Now this here, we can stretch it on Now you can use hot water for this. We just need to get this over into the groove without stretching it as little as possible. So that has to sit down this tube, down the inner tube. That might be a bit of a fiddle, so it may be, I'll just give this a roll, try and get it back into where I'd like it to be. And we'll put a bit of grease around, just around a little chamfer there to help it, to help lubricate it going in, because it's going to be a bit of a fiddle. Okay, we'll clean this thread, a little bit of brake cleaner. Now I'm going to put some Loctite on here, but we're not going to put the U-Butte big heavy duty bloody one. We're just going to put some on, doesn't matter what size. That's up 2/4 of an inch, but not big retaining compounds of that. So bolts above 5/16 in diameter. So that's us. Actually, I'll put the weaker one. It's not, I think it's just a sensible thing just to have some on, but it doesn't have to be a strong one that you can't. We've got to think about if we ever want to get this piston off again. What do we do? Oh well, shit, that's plenty. When you're putting Loctite on, you don't need big heaps. But anyway, there's big heaps. So we'll screw the piston on. I'm not going to centre pop it again. I believe the Loctite will look after that. I'll go over to the vise where we undid it quickly, and I'll nip that right up tight. Okay, and there we go, all tightened on, Loctited on, and done up nice and tight with my very favourite shifting spanner. So there's just a little burr there. I'll just yeah, that feels good. Okay, now let's try and get this down here. Look, I've had a thought that a good idea here is probably put this into the tube while you can get around it all nicely and help feed it in. So let's have a look and see if that's a sensible idea. Now, if you're going to all the trouble to press it in there, see that little bit there looks like it wants to come out of the groove. give that just a little bit of a bump in. I think I'm yeah, that's good. Just have a look, make sure there's no bits peeled off that seal, and we're good. There's no bits peeled off. Yeah, look, that's looking good. Okay, so now we should be able to go through the exercise of putting all this back again. So I'm back to looking down the hole here at the fitting, and yeah, I think on the monitor you can see the shiny bit there on this fitting here. You can see there's a little line halfway down. So as we tighten this nut up, yep, it's on its way. I've got to get two hands onto it now. Like I say, it takes two hands to handle a whopper. I don't know what that's got to do with this, but anyway. I'll bring this around there a little bit. But yeah, you can see down that hole. I think that's the advantage of having a light behind the camera. And I can tighten this up. I'll go to the vise, I'll tighten this up just with a pair of mouldies. I will take it up the back and do it with the Stilson, so I'll be back in a bit more pressure now. We'll see how we go. We'll try and seal around the blower. There we go. Now see if it goes the other way. And then when we hold air there, we haven't got any big amounts coming out the end here, so we know our piston's good. That's coming out of the top. Now we'll blow him out the other way again. And we're holding that there, and there's no air coming out this fitting. That's coming around there. You can hold your finger over that quite easily, and we'll bring him back again. Not too much leak, Lance. There we go. Okay, so we know that works. We're happy with that. That should be all you need to know. All you need to know to do a Massey Ferguson 240 steering cylinder. And we fitted the kit we fitted well. It's a Sparex S 42243, and I'll put that on our website. And the kit fitted well. There's no leftovers. There was a place for everything, and everything went in without modification, so that's always good. We'll tidy up the bench a bit, throw the old O-ring in the bin, and that's it. Massey Ferguson 240 power steering cylinder reseal. Thanks for watching. Okay, like, subscribe, all that. Have a chat, leave a comment, and have a look in the comments. We'll put a link to our website where you can buy this kit if you choose to, if you're in Australia. And yeah, we'll catch you next time, eh?